Here's, I think, the question we have to ask genuinely. Is this president America first or is he Israel first? Because he's going to pull back a deal.
Come on.
Because he's going to pull back a deal first where we have had a non-proliferation policy, and he's giving Saudi Arabia nuclear weapons while he's allowing them to produce enriched uranium, which we didn't do with UAE. And he's saying that he doesn't want Iran to have that. And then the condition is not go invest in Pennsylvania or go invest in Michigan. The condition is that he wants them to recognize Israel without him recognizing a Palestinian state. Like, why does any American want that to be the condition?
All right, well, as you just saw, Representative Khanna was ruffling some feathers on CNN last night by calling out Donald Trump and his deference to Israel. He made a lot of people uncomfortable, including Abby Phillips, it looks like there. So let's give you a little bit of context on what he's talking about. So this week, Donald Trump, he announced that the US was going to permit Saudi Arabia to develop civilian nuclear infrastructure in their own country, as long as the Americans are the ones who are building that infrastructure. And at first, that was not contingent on Saudi Arabia and normalizing relations with Israel. That wasn't a good thing. But then less than a day later, Trump retroactively made that part of the deal. And that is likely because Israeli officials were furious that they were not cut into the deal, okay? So Israeli Heritage Minister Amiki Eliyahu of the far-right Otzma Yehudit party stated this. He said, "We will do as much as we can in the international arena and in our foreign policy to halt the possibility that in the Middle East, a certain country, because we can't rely on it for a long term, has a nuclear weapon." So Israeli opposition lawmaker and former defense minister Avigdor Lieberman, he raged about it and he posted this. This is from the Times of Israel. He said, "Everyone needs to understand that the Saudi civilian nuclear program will end up with nuclear weapons and lead to a mad arms race across the entire Middle East. The Israeli government must act decisively against the American Congress to stop the process." And then he called on Jerusalem and pro-Israel groups like AIPAC and others to fight the pact and convince Congress to vote against it, even if it means splitting the US President Donald Trump, or splitting with Trump. "We need to be firm and not stutter," is what he said. So all of that aside though, here is a little bit more of Khanna, and he is blasting Trump for once again bowing to Israel. Let's watch.
You have an American president who is signing off in the Congress on the integration of our military with the Israeli military.
I think that's a bit of
that's Section 219 and Section 214.
If I could just finish.
No, we don't have that with any ally. You have the American people who have been upset at our unconditional aid to Israel, who are upset that we supported Israel and what they did in Gaza.
There's been a lot of conditions, and the president of the United States has applied a great deal of pressure.
And by the way, this is Republicans and Democrats, both who have that view. And now you have the president of the United States saying to the Saudis, we're going to allow you to have nuclear energy, but the only condition is you've got to recognize the state of Israel without recognizing a Palestinian state. It's just out of touch with what would bring peace in the Middle East or the American people where they are on the issue.
Do you know your brain rot index? No, of course you don't. I didn't either because I didn't know what it was, but turns out you might want to, especially after hearing this. Did you know that the average American checks their phone over 200 times a day? That's about 5 hours of screen time a day on just your phone. Unfortunately, that means your brain is rotting. A little bit, but have no fear. I switched over to Noble Mobile, downloaded their Noble Mobile Life app, and was able to track my own brain rot index. It's 0. No, I'm just kidding. My number was not great, but now that I'm on Noble Mobile, getting way better. It tracks how much you use your phone, how often you pick it up, and even shows you how to save money on your phone bill by using it less. New members can even earn up to $100 cash back for keeping their brain rot index under 100, which means you are very unrotten. Okay, so you unlock all that when you join. So download the Noble Mobile Life app today, track your own brain rot index, and learn how you can save money and spend more time doing things that actually bring you joy instead of doom scrolling on social media. Check it out by heading to tyt.com/switch or by downloading the Noble Mobile app. By the way, don't tell Andrew, but if you're on Wi-Fi, you also don't use your data, so you're gonna get money back anyway. tyt.com/switch.
It's out of touch with the American people, is what he said. Jackson, there's a little bit more, but I do want to get your insight on this a little bit. Do you remember September 11th? Do you know why that happened? It's because the American companies were building infrastructure in Saudi Arabia and they didn't like it. They didn't like that we were there. They didn't like what we were doing over there. Also, all this talk with Iran having a nuclear weapon, but as long as it's Saudi Arabia, who I guess we're cool with, then that's fine. What are your thoughts there?
Well, I've been up for 2 days, so my filter is a little inhibited right now. I just like this whole ecosystem and infrastructure of political discourse is a joke. CNN has the worst roundtable talks possibly on television. Like, these people aren't serious. Why are we trying to give credence to the Trump administration for anything whatsoever? Like, oh, that's too far to say that he's beholden to Israel. Like, of course he's beholden to Israel. He's beholden to anyone who's willing to give him $1. All the pardons that he's done just because people have gone to his dinners and given him $300,000, $1 million, the billions that he's made since he's been in office. I mean, his corruption is legendary. I mean, if you want to be a corrupt crook, I guess he is the #1 person to look up to, because this is really historical. But yeah, and then on the other side with Netanyahu, right? Him and Donald Trump are two singular individuals who only care about what they want. So much to the point that they're willing to destroy the world for it. And there's really no arguing that. So I just don't have much patience for anybody in the Democratic diaspora who isn't just fully fighting against the fascism and the ridiculousness and the craziness that we have in this country right now. Like, all of them need to go. The Van Joneses of the world. I'm a progressive, but let's not actually like. I'm sorry, I'm a little tired, but I'm also tired of these people. And so I think that we should, all of us, do our best to stomp them down. Obviously, I mean that hypothetically and politically, but it's time for them to shut up and just get out the way.
Yeah, I love that idea of a Democratic diaspora, because I feel like that would be us, right? The progressives are like Democrats who are displaced, don't really have much of a home, don't know who we are, what our identity is. That's an interesting term. But I do want to, there is a little bit more from that CNN panel that I want to show you guys. Part of that panel, they debated the Iran war, and Ro Khanna had some thoughts there, as well as Carla Sands, who ironically works for the America First Policy Institute. So let's check that out.
We just voted to again stop the war in Iran this morning in the House. But what has the president achieved? He's driven gas prices up. He's driven food prices up. The enriched uranium is still in Iran. They have a more extreme regime because the sun isn't even saying what Khamenei did, which was we won't develop nuclear weapons. The IRGC is stronger. They have more control over the Strait of Hormuz, and Americans are being killed. And the American people are saying this is worse than just a moral crime. It's a blunder. And you promised to end foreign wars, and you're getting us into this mess. You're failing.
Carla, I see you shaking your head.
Yeah, I shook my head because, President Trump is doing what no American president did since Jimmy Carter. He's actually taken on this murderous regime, the Mueller regime, the IRGC. These are revolutionary nuts, and they're killing their own people, and they've killed American soldiers throughout the world for decades. President Trump is the first president to say, you know what, it may cost me politically, but I'm going to do the right thing. He's done this in Venezuela. He's working on this in Cuba. He's working around the world to make the United States, the people, safe.
Jackson, is that what he's been doing this whole time? He's been working to keep all of us safe from what? I don't know. He can't really tell us, from the Iranians having nukes, I guess, and that is our problem for some reason. It feels like it's not. It feels like it's Israel's problem, if it is a real problem.
I mean, yeah, see, that's what it is. This whole time we have just failed to appreciate how courteous he is and how much he tries to keep us all out of trouble. We just, I mean, we're all like that sometimes. Sometimes we can take things for granted. It's a human trait. But on a more serious note, this woman is playing the game of don't tell me what I don't want to hear. It makes me uncomfortable. I don't like that. I'm a rich white person. I want the world to stay really safe and really white. And I don't want to see black and brown people. And I don't want to see women making money. Like, come on. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Of course, Donald Trump has absolutely no clue what he's doing. No clue what he's doing. This dude set up an MOU and then broke it instantly, not because there's some type of grand strategy to keep them from developing nukes, which of course they weren't doing under Obama. Now the war has gone to controlling the Strait of Hormuz, which why are we trying to do that in the first place? We're charging a toll now. You were just saying that that's against international law, right? And Donald Trump, we're back in this war because Donald Trump's ego's hurt and he's embarrassed because he looks like the stupid idiot that he is. So some of the reason I'm going so hard on this right now too, one, we're going into a midterm election, so we need the fire. But also, like, these people are done. They have nothing to sell. They have no credibility. They're done. They're finished. MAGA is over. They still in office, unfortunately, but it's done.
I mean, yeah, that is a pretty significant caveat. They are still technically in power, but it is encouraging that they're losing a lot of support the way that they are. I know that in the first hour, John was talking about that, about how insanely disliked Donald Trump is. His approval rating keeps going lower and lower, historically low. I feel like that's happened several times over already since his second term in office. And that is saying something. That's saying that even as so many American people still shut their eyes to whatever's going on in the world, or even here at this country, they are feeling things and they're at least willing to acknowledge that Donald Trump is somewhat partially responsible for it, okay? And I feel like a few years ago, that wasn't so dependable, that wasn't so reliable, because so many of his supporters especially, and I know that his supporters are not all Republican voters, but his supporters, they don't know what's going on. They think that he's doing a great job. They can't tell you anything that he's done that is good, but they feel like he's doing a great job. And they feel as though the Democrats, if they did get into power again, they would make things worse than they are right now. Somehow, all the promises that Donald Trump broke when he came into office, from the promises that he made while he was on the campaign trail, all of those promises that he broke, they'll forget all about it. As soon as there's another Democrat in power, then they're gonna be mad at the Democrat for doing not nearly as much bad things as Donald Trump has done to them. And Donald Trump is also, he's not subtle about these things, right? He comes out and he says point blank, I'm not worried about your affordability crisis, if you even want to call it a crisis. He doesn't even believe that it is a crisis, right? He is keen to make prices go higher and higher. He just put more tariffs on more countries. He put tariffs on Canadian lumber. Like, we don't need to build houses because we don't have a housing crisis. Like, it's so completely detached from the needs and the wants of the American people. And just the fact that we are doing anything in the Middle East at all is completely detached from the needs and wants of the American people. More Americans right now than ever are not supportive of Israel. And we certainly don't like seeing all of our money going to this conflict that Congress never approved, that the American people do not and have never supported. We are tired of it. And now we're gonna go build civilian nuclear infrastructure in Saudi Arabia. So I can't imagine that people were gonna be happy about this one either.
Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.